Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam is now on digital due to high piracy demand. So what is interesting about this is it's only been out for like a month. That's a very fast turnover.
But it feels like it was so long ago that we watched it. It didn't surprise me at first.
Did it come out in theater, or was it just like streaming?
It feels that's a difference in perspective, because to me this feels like it was just last week.
When's it going to show up on HBO Max?
It won't be for a while. I bet you not till into March probably.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. They want to make their money on pay VOD before it goes to before it goes there. So
do Chinese people love Dwayne Johnson that much?
They love apparently I got the number down here. Yeah. So Hobbs and Shaw made $200 million in China alone. They love The Rock over there, which is interesting because China has their own history, like not being. I guess maybe it's because if it's because he was a wrestler first, but they weren't. They had all their censorship with John Boyega relating and Black Panther over there because they censor it because they believe that the Chinese audience is racist. I don't know if you would say that that's true. I know that that the studios do that at the request of the government. I can't say whether that's true of the people there, but I know that the Chinese government...
And if we ever looked into it, who knows if the statistics would
be accurate.
Accurate.
So it says China might have something to do with the high demand for piracy because the movie is banned over there.
Damn you, Pierce Brosnan, for being buddies with the Dalai Lama, kind of.
Now it's
more like acquaintances.
All these personal failings ruining movies.
It's globalization. It's globalization that's ruining movies because everyone is going to piss off someone somewhere. And then everyone will be bannable somewhere. I watched a thing this morning about do we need the Brosnaissance? Talking about somebody suggested like a daring idea would be to bring Pierce Brosnan back as James Bond to do like another Bond film as like an older Bond,
like the AARP version of James Bond.
Yeah, basically. But they're talking about they were showing all these interview clips of him, and it's interesting because he to me is one of those people he comes off extremely magnanimous and very much the artist type, right? He's an artist. He talks about I love this character because of this, and thank you guys. And for him to be the one of all people to cause the ban. Remember, I would have imagined if they could have gotten it released in there, they would have had The Rock pander to China the way they had John Cena pander to China for Fast and the Furious 9.
Yeah,
remember,
he's just the right type.
I don't remember. I haven't gotten there yet. Don't ruin it for me.
Well, what happened was
those videos of John Cena on Instagram speaking Chinese to his Chinese fans were just so jarring, and he was lampooned for being a sellout.
Well, he used to do that. He did that because he was it was part of his ambassadorship that he used to do for WWE. So he learned Mandarin. But it's because I remember there was like not a skit, but like a segment they did in wrestling where he talks to someone in Chinese, and like that's how he gets them. But it's I don't think that there's a way they could have pulled this back. And I also want to know like who's the person going out and doing the piracy checking to see how the piracy rates are going. And we do not advocate for piracy here at Pop Culture Crisis. Do we?
Not openly,
not
maybe
openly?
Implicitly.
So it's and then we have Black Panther, which had a 69% drop or 63% drop between week 1 and week 2 for these movies. And I wonder, like, was Top Gun the only movie this year that had really strong box office hold, right? Like they're releasing Maverick on Christmas Day on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, and I see people talking about that today.
It came out in like May.
For Wakanda Forever, I think the initial box office was all people who are intense fans of the first movie in that franchise.
And then us.
And then, us, who have to watch it no matter what.
Hey, I liked it. I'm the only one who liked it.
And then the next weekends after that show that it's underperforming compared to the first one because you've gotten rid of the titular character.
Yep.
Then for Black Adam, that was more of just an interest in the direction of the DCU, I think.
It's not making that much money. They're already talking about like how, because spoiler alert, if you have not seen Black Adam, so
Dr. Fate
passes away. So
but not really, though. He's going to come back. Wink, wink.
But the idea is that if they wanted to release Black Adam 2 in theaters, what they can do is they can move Dr. Fate, give him his own. People liked Pierce Brosnan as his character a lot. Move him to HBO Max, give him a series. Yeah. Fine. But then you can make Black Adam 2 without him and then get a Chinese release and hopefully secure
what an insult, though.
Well, I mean, they've got enough of an explanation to it where Pierce Brosnan would have to be kind of a jerk to be like, why aren't you putting me in this one? He would know why without needing to be told why.
I don't even know if he wants to be in the streaming space though.
He's
We'll see.
Do you remember when we talked about a long time ago? We talked about there was the James Bond reality TV series that I was talking about and how much I hated that idea.
Reality TV series?
Yeah, it was a reality. It was like sort of James Bond meets a Greatest Race or something.
I've excised it from my brain. I hated it that much, but it was
didn't make any sense. And
what did they do? What's the premise?
They were just trying out being secret agents around the world. Like again, they would go from city to city and do challenges. But to what end?
So the idea, I was like, the Bond might be one that maybe, and I hate to say this, might be an interesting one to bring to a streaming space, but not with his character, with some of the other characters. Like they've built up enough of the Money Penny and more Money Penny with what's her name in the sequels, but also with Q. Like I could see them taking those ones to the streaming space the way they would bring Dr. Fate to streaming. And if you bring some of the characters to streaming, you might curb that desire for people to torrent stuff if you can give them material in the meantime, right? So I don't think that for The Rock it's going to make a big deal, but I don't think his direction is where they end up going. I think they end up going with James Gunn anyways. I think that now that James Gunn is in charge over there, he's not going to have the power. And people
say that they don't get along very well.
The Rock, who is very much, he's what I call he's the performative good guy, meaning he's the one who's going to let you know, hey man, good job. He's going to do it on social media where everyone can see him doing it. And him and James Gunn are not talking on social media.
That's why it comes off as egotistical when The Rock is out here on Twitter talking to the fans and how we love the fans and we want to serve the fans.
Thank you.
We get it already.
Yeah.
You're just trying to be their hero.
But people are so starved for someone to not tell them they're a Nazi right now that they'll take anything that they can get.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty pathetic state of entertainment that we're at right now.
It should scare people that's how low the bar is. The bar is don't get torrented because your movie doesn't come out in China, and don't torrent and don't tell your fans.
Just cover all of your bases so that nobody involved in your film is objectionable to the CCP in any way, shape, or form. Do you remember when Beyonce was releasing her album? She's they did Me Too background checks on all the people working on it. So
what an insane type of background check.
Have you R-worded someone? No.
We heard about that, but we never got any details of what it meant.
But then didn't she get in trouble for using the wrong word?
But she also got in trouble because it was confirmed that somebody on her project
had
already been alleged assaulter.
That was the reason.
But I thought they Me Too background checked them. I don't understand.
Apparently it wasn't expansive enough.
I feel that must have been they looked at some people and be like, I don't trust the way you look. Let me look through your Twitter.
So then I got a question for you, because I don't think I ever got to ask you this question, Mary. If they were to make the sequel to Black Adam, how could they fix it in a way that would? Because I consider you to be kind of the audience they would want to please, because you're very, very they should set the bar at somebody that's very, very difficult to please, right? They're Brett will watch anything. Brett loves this crap. It doesn't matter how little it makes sense or anything. What is something that they could do to this movie, to this series, that you think could bring it around to something that you would enjoy? If not watch multiple times, at least enjoy watching the first time.
Okay, objectively though, I am not the audience that they are trying to please.
No, but I'm saying
anyone who is even slightly picky with what they go to the movies to watch is not their target audience. They are going for the casual superhero movie watcher.
Then you bulwark then you set your goals extremely high. So if they shoot for entertaining you and they only get here, I'm entertained, all the people in the middle are entertained. They just fall short of kind of pleasing the people that are much harder to do so.
Well, I remember what bothered me most about Black Adam was that they teased exploring certain themes, with Black Adam being an anti-hero and the ethics of killing your enemies and killing villains specifically. And then they didn't actually use the plot or character development to fully come to conclusions about any of those ideas.
Nor did he change.
Or ask any questions. And I was also bothered by the fact that Black Adam doesn't seem to have any character development in the film. There is no... the audience is not let into his intentions behind anything he does or chooses not to do. who he intends to kill or not kill. There is no explanation. It seems completely arbitrary, which disengages me from like the stakes.
The interesting part about that is I felt like, because at the end he basically gets them to surrender. Like, and they could have made a bigger deal about the fact that they just accept that he's too powerful and they can't get him to change his ways. But he just kind of becomes generically less villainous. Generically less anti-hero-ish. So there could have been a big deal made about how the entire Justice Society tries to bring, well, not the entire Justice Society, how the Justice Society tries to bring him down, and eventually he just gets them to submit to him. And there could have been, that could have been played for something actually meaningful, and it was just kind of passed over. It's like, I guess we lost.
He just seemed to arbitrarily go to the good guy's side.
Yeah, with no explanation
explanation other than maybe convenience.
So maybe more concrete plot, character growth.
Yeah, and also, I mean, this isn't necessarily something they needed to get into, but he was essentially like cryonically unfrozen from an ancient age.
Yeah.
And then there was no conflict with his understanding of the modern world at all.
Yeah.
There was no way that his values imposed upon modern values in very obvious ways, like his ideas about masculinity and like the way that Adriana's son should behave in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
That's a little bit too deep than I think they're capable or willing to go. So that was my main beef with Black Adam.
Do you, when you watch, you don't watch movies very often, but when you do, does it bother you, do plot holes bother you more if the movie is more serious, or would it like when you watch you probably like me, or not like me, in that I can watch it and just discount it as like probably something was left on the editing room floor and your brain fills in the blanks?
I think that you have to distinguish between like a plot hole, meaning like there is an obvious gap of information that impacts the story, versus like something being left in omission for you to draw your own conclusions about, or like if there is a sequel, for them to circle back and fill in, right? You don't want to have a story that's like so explained to death that there's no ability for the viewer to have space to interpret it, right? Plot holes to me are things where it's like, in one scene they say this thing, but in the next scene it seems unclear. Like, to go back to my example of the day, like somehow implying that a character was adopted by another character's grandmother. For no specific reason. She just happened to randomly know about this prostitute's baby. Like that, they obviously didn't think that one through. They just needed to be like, oh, they've known each other forever. How do we make this work?
Gaps without intentionality behind them.
Right. And to a certain point they needed just like, Fast and Furious needed like an unattached teenage girl who was like dateable but also connected. I obviously didn't see Black Adam, so I can't speak to that, but I think that is the problem with these giant multiverses. Like, they start to be like, well, we'll leave it vague because we haven't figured it out ourselves, like how we want to fill this in, but it becomes nonsensical. They don't stick to things that follow through, and therefore create all of these points in the plot. Like, long-running TV show series have this, right? Like season 1, a character will say, like what Friends, like one of the character turns 30 like 5 times, like he's like 29 for like 3 years or something. Like, those are sort of discrepancies we can forgive. Yeah, they don't make a lot of sense, but they don't actually tremendously impact the show. Big gaps in like why this character would show up here, or like saying like, why would he not, if he's been frozen or whatever for a long time, why would he not have any questions about what's going on? They just like fall into place. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Dave Cullen just released a really good video the other day about the problems with the multiverse plot device, because that's what it is now. It's a plot device.
Or just a lack of plot device. And then there's a discrepancy, like the confirmation of whether or not Dr. Fate died there, because they don't know yet if it's going to be geopolitically advantageous to hire Pierce Brosnan again. That's completely unrelated from the plot.
And it's not like a strategic omission, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're doing it because they're in a position of weakness. They don't know if it's not that they like haven't decided if they're bringing back this character to tell this kind of story. It's like they literally are like, we are not sure if this person's going to be radioactive by the time we go to make that movie. It's to me not appealing generally. It's one of the reasons that I don't like these kinds of like superverse worlds or whatever, because they don't rely, like, for me, if each one of these movies was strong enough to hold on its own, you could release it on its own, and its storyline is solid, then I would watch them. But right now, you kind of have to be in the weeds. Like, you guys have been talking about this movie. I've never seen it. I have no idea who any of these characters are. I have no idea what happens in this movie. Like, I'm not more drawn into it by hearing about it. It doesn't make any sense, and it probably never will. And
a lot of DC fans didn't even know who this character was before they made the film about him.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.